Morning people, welcome back to the channel. It is a Saturday, it is a rest day. Why would I bother even recording on a rest day? Well, essentially I want to show you what I get up to on a rest day, right? So we're 11 weeks into this powerlifter to bodybuilder process and very much starting to see it coming, right? So at the moment, weight is averaging about 91.8. So we're almost at the 10 kilo mark of body fat dropped. And in today's video as well, I am going to be going out with Emma. So Emma is finished prep now. So she's able to enjoy freedom and she's able to enjoy meals out. So we're going to be going out for our first meal out together. That hasn't been like a post-show meal in months. Like probably, yeah, I'd say about half a year. Because the last time we actually probably would have went to a restaurant was actually before Christmas. So, that's a decently long time. However, I'm on a diet. And one thing that's probably making it a little bit easier for her in this post-show period has been the fact that I am dieting. I'm a little bit more, I'm a lot more regimented. I'm not also wanting to go out to eat more. And then as well, even today when we do go out for food, it's going to be a lot easier for us to both kind of stay on track because she's in the mindset of, I don't want to gain too much fat post-show. She has already gained some, very small bit. The drugs are definitely helping. But I am also in a position where I'm like, I want to be able to go out and enjoy my food, but I don't want to go out and take the piss as well. So I'm going to show you exactly what I do today in anticipation for having a meal out, as well as what I'm going to do just to relax, right? Because like ultimately at the end of the day, the rest days are very important. I talked about the rest days in the previous episode that I did, but a lot of people don't really understand or know what they should really be doing. And you'll see today, I'm just going to be spending a lot of time chilling. I'm going to go out and do a sauna later. I'm going to be doing a little bit of work on my laptop. And like work for me is not stressful because I coach as a passion. I don't mind working weekends because ultimately at the end of the day, what I do for a living is coaching, and coaching is something that you get into if you are passionate about the job. If you get into it for the wrong reasons, you definitely don't last long. And I've been doing it for like the last 6 years because I just love helping people. I like making, as much as it can be a pain in my side sometimes, I do enjoy making content because it does help me kind of upskill. I have to spend more time studying, I have to make more time kind of solidifying ideas. So that's kind of what I get up to today. But sure, we'll go through all that. But the first thing that I do today, rest day, or what I do every single morning, is just follow the same routine, right? So I have coffee in the morning, have lots of agua, and now I'm just sitting down on my laptop and I am plugging in my numbers onto my spreadsheet. So when I'm updating my spreadsheet for my coach, I just plug it in first thing in the morning, wake up, open up my laptop, plug in my macros, plug in my steps for the previous week. I'll show you exactly what they are now. These are the current numbers. I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see. So this is what the week has currently looked like. So you see here, 91.6 to 92.1 has been the lowest to the highest. All my kind of morning weigh-ins have pretty much been around the same time, except for the start of the week when I was absolutely obliterated after the competition weekend with my clients. And then we have my calorie intake here for the last few days. So my macros, right? So the error, the range of which AJ has given me is, so these are the targets, right? So 400 grams in training days of carbohydrates, 60 grams of fat, 250 grams of protein. So AJ is essentially giving me 10 grams of wiggle room on my protein and my carbs, and then 5 grams on my fats. So you can see most days I'm pretty much spot on. There's probably like 1 or 2 days there where I'm a little bit lower on something like protein, for example. Protein is one that I probably struggle the most with getting in, but I got to go through today how I am going to be getting as close to my numbers as possible while working in some measurement error for eating out, because naturally enough, when you are eating out, there's a lot of measurement error that comes in with it. You're ultimately guesstimating, and there's different tools I give my clients to help them guesstimate more effectively, which we're going to go through. Okay. All right. So one of the very first things I will do in the morning, just before I go out to eat, is I will check out where we're going and what's on the menu. So we're going to La Sala by the Sea. Okay. So their website wasn't getting up anything for me, so this is just from TripAdvisor. So most restaurants are going to have their menu online, and if not, you might find one on TripAdvisor, or sometimes even Google will have the menu. So gotta look up the menu first, and then from there, I'm going to plug it into my nutrition tracker, and then we can start planning the rest of my meals. Okay, so Have some nice looking ones here. Prawns pale pale. I fucking love that. It's probably one of my favorite starters to get. But I think myself and them are going to be sharing some starters. So we have grilled salted chicken there as well. That's also something I love. Naturally enough, who doesn't like chicken wings? So I think what we will likely do, and this is from talking to Emmy yesterday, we are probably going to share the satay skewers and probably get one of these wings here. So you can see here we have 4 wings here, and most of the time if you're getting grilled satay, you're gonna probably get 4 skewers if you're lucky, maybe 2. So I can plug that into my FitnessPal or into my macro factor, not using my FitnessPal anymore. And I can show you what it's going to be. So I'm going to put in 2 skewers and 2 wings. I can imagine we'll go for honey and chili. That's probably the type of one that we like. We like the more kind of Asian style ones. I'm not going to get any salads. Okay, so now we have main courses. So when I go out to eat, I will, especially with the calories I'm on right now, I'll likely go for a starter, small starter, and a main course. If my calories are a lot lower than they are right now, because I'm eating like 3,000 calories a day, probably just get a starter, or sorry, just get a main course. So we have fillet steak, we have entrecote, we have ribs, we have crispy duck pancakes, burger, we have some Thai green curry, and some more type of Thai dishes as well. So it's not an actual Thai restaurant. I prefer to get a Thai from an actual Thai, and usually Thai food is actually a really good option to get when you do go for food, because you're getting usually a lean cut meat. Usually you're getting like probably steamed rice or something like that, as well as you're probably getting veg. So you're kind of ensuring that you're getting at least your protein hit. You're getting some less fatty carbs, I guess you could say, and you're also getting some vegetables. The only thing with it is you have to be careful about the hidden ingredients, right? You don't see all the sugar they're putting in the sauce. You don't see all the oil they're cooking all the veg with. But so that's something that you have to bake into what you're tracking alongside it, okay? However, we're not going to go for that today. What we're going to go for is a lot simpler. We're going to go for a steak, right? So a fillet steak, when you're ordering out, is usually quite easy, because a lot of menus, and this one does not have the ounce on the actual menu. Most restaurants are going to say 6 ounce fillet steak, 8 ounce fillet steak, or whatever, okay? Now that makes it easy for you to track into your MyFitnessPal or whatever nutrition tracker you're using, because you just have to put in the actual gram, you can know the gram value, and then from the likes of the other portions that you're getting on a plate, what I recommend a lot of people do is use either hand portions or just look up a restaurant that you know would be on your nutrition tracker. Nando's, Weatherspoons. If you're getting something like chips, for example, you can just put that into your nutrition tracker, pick their logging, and then pick like a serving size, and it will be relatively accurate. It won't be 100% accurate, it'll be relatively accurate. And then alongside that, so it says we're gonna get hand cut fries and some peppercorn sauce. So that's all good. Probably won't use much of the sauce because I don't really, yeah, I'm more of a salt and pepper guy when it comes to my steaks, for me, completely honest. Now let's see if they have any veg. So if they have veg, I will typically get something like that. So we have onion rings, coleslaw cabbage, mixed salad, Thai salad. I'm not a salad guy, I'm not gonna lie. I will eat fruit and veg, but salad is not for me. I just feel it's a sorry excuse for getting in vegetables. Cold vegetables are not the one. All right, so what that says to me is now today I need to ensure that I'm getting in plenty of vegetables at early meals, because if I can't get much with my dinner, I don't want to be really low on my fiber intake for the day either. So, and as well, I want to keep myself full, right? So we're gonna go with steak. Gonna track that in my MyFitnessPal. Gonna show you what that looks like, and then as we go through today, I'm gonna show you exactly how I'm structuring the rest of my meals so that we can keep within the targets and we account for any kind of, hidden variables that are probably not going to be tracked, or they don't say that they're using in the actual menu, right? So the butter that they're probably cooking the steak in, the oil they're cooking all the chips in, and so on. So we have a blank slate for the day. So put in what I'm gonna get first. So you can see there's a heap of different ones here. So how do you know which one to go with? To be honest, you can see that there is a lot of variability, right? So a lot of the variability is just going to come down to the size of the skewer. So I'm going to probably pick the one that seems the most kind of like mid-range out of all these. So you can see you have ones that are coming close to 238 for a skewer, and then you can see some there like nearly like what, fucking 27. So they're obviously really, really small ones. So I'm not going to pick a really small one because they're unlikely to be serving those. They seem like more type of things you'll get like as a canapé at a fucking wedding or something. So I'm going to pick one that's probably a little bit more mid-range. Let's go with the Trader Joe ones. I'm going to put it into gram value because I can usually kind of guesstimate how much meat they're actually going to have in each skewer. They're probably going to have about 100 grams in total. Okay, so that actually comes down to around what Trader Joe's is going to be. All right, now let's look at wings. Okay, so I already have wings in here based off a previous logging. 10 wings from Korean Barbecue World of Beer. So usually when I go out for wings or go out for food, I'll usually use the exact same loggings as I've used before. Haven't had satellite skewers out in a long time. So I'm just going to go with the one that I use there. But for this one, I'm going to keep with this, right? So I can say that I'm going to have about 0.2 of a serving here because I'm going to have maybe 2 wings. So that's 220 calories. Now for my steak. So I'm going to pick the usual steak that I get from Mercadona. And I can assume this is going to be about a 200 gram steak. Yeah, so that's about 200 grams because I have this actually input by myself. I log this food in by myself and I put in all macro values per 100 grams. So per 100 grams, the steak is 21 grams of protein, 3.3 grams of fat, 116 calories. So we're going to say that's about 200 grams of steak. So that's roughly 8 ounces. And then we can go with some pommes frites. Okay, so pommes frites, I had that from a logging last week. Good thing about portion size in Spain is they are not overly large, so we can say that I'm probably going to get about 200 grams maybe. Okay, so about 200 grams of pommes frites. All right, so that is that food logged in. I'm going to add in an extra 15 grams of butter. All right, so you can see that now. That meal, if I log it as is, that is going to be about 1,000 calories tracked. Now it could be a little bit more, but that's how much I am going to account for this meal. So it's all logged in ahead of time, and now I can just essentially form the rest of my meals around it. So I'll bring you through what I'm going to eat now in anticipation, because one thing you don't want to do before you go out for a meal out is eat fuck all. I'm still going to eat as much food as I can, realistically relative to my targets. I want to keep myself full throughout the day because number one, I don't want to go to the meal and not be able to stick to the plan because I'm so ravenously hungry and have that meal and still feel like a bottomless pit. Number two, I'm training tomorrow, so I want to ensure that I'm still fueling my body to recover from yesterday's training and anticipate tomorrow's training, which is going to be a hard leg day. So it's really, really important that when you are having your meals out, you account for it. You don't go overboard with like you can have a little bit less calories than you may think you need, but like I wouldn't go any less than like 200 calories. If tomorrow my weight goes up and if at the end of the day, in reality, my calories are a little bit over, I'm not going to lose head. It's a few calories. And ultimately at the end of the day, because I've been adherent throughout the entire week, I've been spot on with my calories, my macros, my steps, my training. If I'm a tiny bit over today, it's not going to make a massive difference in the grand scheme of things. If I'm 200, 300 calories over today, I still will be in a deficit because my deficit at the moment is kind of coming to about 800 calorie deficit per day. So, you know, if I'm a couple like 100 calories over, I just reduce the size of the deficit. So, you know, being accountable is the most important thing. Out for a walk with the demon and Emma. Keep your loved ones close. Samson, if you heard him actually barking in the video when I was recording earlier on and speaking, I was like, what's he barking at? He's probably barking at my DJI case as well as Emma's AirPods. Because when I came down, Emma's AirPods were in his mouth, the case, took it off him. I was like, he got mine before, but you know, he wasn't successful in getting them out of the case. Second time lucky for him because this time around he got Emma's AirPods, and they are no longer AirPods. Let's just say that. Mammy's not too happy with them. We actually started getting him training. He had his first 2 lessons this week, and like, how's the trainer going to solve this one? Because he's just eating everything. He's eating a pair of my sunglasses, eating a pair of Emma's sunglasses. It's not as if he doesn't have toys and we don't play with him. He's just a curious doggy. Likes things in his mouth. Anyway, so we're out for our steps. Not exactly making room for our meal later on. just as a point to have it. Getting out in the morning, getting some steps in is always a nice way to start the day. Like working up a little bit of an appetite as well before breakfast. Like a nice fasted walk. It could kind of give you a laundry list of health benefits you get from doing some fasted walking in the morning, but I don't do it for any of those reasons. I just do it because I like it. First meal of the day, so we are going with the staple: bacon, eggs. Gonna add in some egg whites as well, just for a little bit more protein to ensure I hit my target today. Got some mushrooms and then tomatoes, but we're also gonna have some breakfast potatoes. I'm gonna show you that came out to you on a macro factor. So this is here. You see here 702 calories, 69 grams of protein, 77 grams of carbs, and 15 grams of fat. You can see just at the top here what I have left then for the day. So 100 grams of protein, 12 grams of fat, and 154 grams of carbs. Now, on a day like this where I'm going to be eating out, if I'm a little bit off with my carbs and fats, I'm not all that fussed. I'll aim to hit the calories first, as well as the protein, and then wherever the carbs and fats land, so be it. Realistically, it's going to mean that I'm going to have probably maybe one meal later on that's pretty much just protein and maybe some vegetables, and then maybe one more meal with carbs. 154 grams of carbs is maybe 2 meals, I guess. And there we have it. That is meal number one. As you can see, I absolutely incinerated that bacon, which is probably not the best start to the day, but it is what it is. So I generally do like having a carb source with my breakfast, which is why I'm choosing the potato. However, you usually have a bagel or oats. Now, the reason I didn't go with the bagel or oats today is because, as you had seen from the evening meal, I'm probably going to be quite low in fiber today if I don't try to make it up early on. And while oats are a fiber source and a really good fiber source, that when I have oats, I like to add like dark chocolate, like to add a little bit of nuts, like to add different things to it, different toppings, which definitely bring up the calorie load. So I'm trying to save a little bit more room here throughout the day by just having the potatoes. Potatoes is all really filling, really dense with micronutrients, and they just taste it. They taste great. They taste great at every single meal. You'd have them for literally every single meal of the day, which I did at a time when I was prepping. But yeah, if you do have too much, sometimes people can find they are going poop too often. We're gonna get this down, and then we have more of the day to seize. So if you want to eat out and still drop body fat, I think one of the most important things you need to think about is treat your calorie intake for that day like it is a budget. The less money you have in your account, the less money that you can spend. And the exact same comes for the calorie intake. So when I am kind of going about a day for eating out and I'm eating 3,000 calories, I have a lot bigger budget than somebody who's going to be dieting on, say, 2,000 calories. So for me, I can go out and have 2 courses and still keep within my calories once I'm making smart decisions. However, for somebody who is maybe eating 2,000 or below, especially if you're a smaller person, you might struggle to have 2 courses. Maybe just going for one and maybe not even getting sides might be the best thing for you. In that context, if you are a smaller person and you don't have a huge amount of calories to play with, probably a better thing for you to do is actually take some calories from other days. And this is something I do get a lot of my clients to do. Now, this is only really something that you need to do if you are a smaller person and you're not eating that much calories, because if you're eating like a large amount of calories like I am, 3,000, you don't need to borrow calories from other days and stack them onto today, right? So you think about your calories as like a weekly budget. So the total sum of calories that you eat across the week, that's going to lead to the net loss in body fat. So if you're having 2,000 calories per day, that's 14,000 calories across the week. Now, if you decided across 3 of those days in anticipation for a meal that you're going to have out at the weekend, you decided to take 10% off that, which I think is a kind of good ballpark figure to kind of take away from a day. Any greater than 10%, and you could just run into issues on that day in regards to adherence or hunger, and as well performance, okay? Because we're still trying to think about, on those days, you're probably still training and you still wouldn't have sufficient fuel to train that day, versus just take loads of calories from those days and plug them onto the weekend just so you can splurge out at a meal. So if you have 2,000 calories on a given day and you need to eat that to lose fat, you take 10% from 3 of those days, then you have 2,600 calories of a budget to play with on that day. And then on that day, you really do have to just be smart with your food choices. Like realistically, if you have a small budget, you probably can't spend all your money on cocaine and strippers. Getting a burger and getting a pizza, that's the equivalent of spending all your money on cocaine and strippers. You won't have much money for much else, and especially early on the day, if you're buying more cocaine and strippers, you're probably going to feel pretty empty and pretty damn hollow, right? So throughout the day, you want to ensure you're investing that budget in wise food choices, okay? Which is what you're going to see when I'm going to go about my day to day. I'm picking foods that are filling. I'm picking foods that are also prioritizing things like micronutrients, my energy throughout the day, and also thinking about tomorrow in regards to me training in the gym. That's just a really important part of if you are looking to eat out on a diet. The day of, don't blow all of your calories on non-filling, non-nutrient dense foods, and then when you go into the evening time, you have that meal out, you don't have much of a budget left, or even in anticipation for the meal, if you were going to have a big blowout for that meal, just remember that you're going to be taking away from other meals and other food that you have throughout the day. A lot of people, when they're going out to eat, they're probably not going out to like 7, 8, even 9 p.m. sometimes to have food. Think about all those hours in between. You're going to be absolutely ravenous if you pick foods that are just not filling. So it is important to prioritize things like protein, prioritize things like fiber, and also a big thing is just ensuring you're keeping your meals spaced well. I find when people are having the worst hunger symptoms on days like this, where they're going out for food later on in the evening, it's because they are having large gaps between their meals and they're eating at random times relative to what they usually have throughout the week. Your body does adjust and adapt to the times that you eat throughout the week, and then if you go to the weekend day and you have varying different timelines for when you're having your meals, that can be when you are getting the highest hunger response. So try to keep your meal times relatively similar to what you would have midweek. Again, prioritize food quality, things like protein, have a good quality foods that provide you energy, and then when you go for your meal later on in the evening time, you're going to be in a much better position. Work pretty much completed for the day, and spent the last 15 minutes doing a bit of manscaping. Yes, I shaved my legs, or I've eaten my legs. I'm not really a hairy guy, as you can see. I don't really even grow that much facial hair, and even my chest, I don't grow that much hair at all. But when you do get rid of the hair off your legs, the leanness, the shreds, they show off a lot more. There's a reason why bodybuilders, when they get on stage, they shave before shows. And to be honest, I just prefer to keep on top of it. Since I did my season in 2022, I pretty much every 2 to 4 weeks will just remove all the hair from my body. I feel nicer that way. I feel really fat when I'm hairy now. You know that? But a lot of people, obviously, if you don't compete in bodybuilding, you don't have to. But if you're a bodybuilder, it's probably a good idea to stay on top of it, because, my God, when you come up towards show day and you have to remove like a couple of years worth of hair, that's tiring. Like, this took me 10 minutes to do, right? Just apply this on the legs, 10 minutes, let it sit in, wash off in the shower, boom, legs completely clean once again. And you know what? I'm not embarrassed to say I've eaten my legs. I don't care if people think it's not manly. You know it's not manly? Judging people for doing shit like this. Outdated opinions. You can be hairy if you want. You can be skin. You can be hairless if you want. It doesn't really make a difference. I work hard for my gains. I want them to be apparent. Alright, back in the kitchen. It's time for meal number 2. It's 2:30 now. We're actually on out of 5, so this is going to be perfect. Gonna have this meal. Nice short gap between the next meal. Might look at getting the sauna in before we go for dinner. I'll show you what we are going to be making. So, meal number 2. Hope you can see that there. So, have chicken, peppers, onions, garlic, mushrooms, lots of veg. We're also going to have some broccoli on the side, 2 tortilla wraps, as well as some salsa. So we're essentially making fajitas right now. So that's going to be meal number 2. I was thinking about having rice. However, I want to ensure that I meet my fiber today. So if I actually go onto my full view here and show you what the numbers are like so far. So 32 grams of fiber pretty much hit. That's accounting for the meal out, which pretty much is 0. So essentially I've gotten that in pretty much 2 meals. And I've also got my last meal logged in without any toppings added in, which is going to be pretty much a creamy. So that's what it comes to there. So I'm going to get to making this. jet down, hopefully get out, do a little bit of a sauna beforehand, just decompress, no social media, which is one of the things I love about sauna. You just have to sit in there with your own thoughts. It's relaxing, kind of. Alright, here are the wraps. Put in the air fryer, and that is now meal number 2. Guess that's a no on the sauna, so I went in to use the sauna, but been told that I'm not allowed. Well, not that I'm not allowed, but the sauna is closed apparently. It seems they have different opening hours now for the sauna. He said it's only a couple of days a week, up until like 1 PM. And I'm assuming it's because it is pretty much a sauna outside. But nonetheless, I could get some benefits and some peace just sitting in the sauna, regardless of what the temperature is outside. So that's a bit annoying, so I'm gonna go for the next best option, which is to go to the beach, I guess, which is not a bad option. The main thing I'm looking really to get out of the sauna is just some peace and relaxation time, so I can do that down by the beach. And by getting into the sea is lovely, especially with the sea over here, because it's so clean and it's nice and warm as well. When it comes to using the sauna, I pretty much just do it for enjoyment. I like how it feels, I like how I feel after, I like the peace it gives me, just time to just kind of switch off for a couple of minutes realistically, because I only do it for like 15 minutes at a time. Similar to walking before my first meal. It's simply from an enjoyment perspective, right? Now, I think when you're kind of taking up a habit or behavior, it's quite normal to be motivated initially by an extrinsic reason, like something improving your health. But long term, it needs to be something that you do enjoy, right? Because like there is a lot of, you know, talk these days about different recovery methods and like, you know, doing things in cold plunges, ice baths, sauna, whatever it may be. A lot of the health benefits that you're going to get from them are like really small in regards to like other big rocks that we're thinking about like doing as part of our day, right? Exercising, daily movement, eating a good, nutritious, balanced diet. Those things are very small in regards to the actual health benefits you're going to see relative to other things, relative to the big rocks. And similar with the big rocks, even those, you can get into tracking your nutrition, counting calories, adhering to a certain protein intake, following a certain training style initially because of the certain benefit it's going to give you. But the thing that's going to give you staying power is if you enjoy it. I wouldn't do the sauna if I didn't enjoy it. I wouldn't go out for my morning walk without having any food in me if I didn't enjoy it. I wouldn't go out for that morning walk if I didn't enjoy it doing it at that time. I'd do it at a later time. I wouldn't continue to doing bodybuilding training or powerlifting training if it wasn't something that I enjoyed. If you are taking up any habit behavior, enjoyment has to be there. You're not going to enjoy every single part of the process. You're not always going to enjoy, like, you know, going to the gym or going out and doing your steps. You're not always going to enjoy doing some of those big rocks for sure, but there's things that you should be doing anyway, just keep up that habit. But there's so many ways that you can vary that relative to what you are enjoying, right? If you don't like a certain training style, you don't have to do it long term. Pick the form that you will likely enjoy long term, or a variety like it. And as well with exercise, really, if you pivot between different styles, whether that's high rocks, bodybuilding, powerlifting, strongman, whatever it may be, once you're doing something, it's probably going to be benefit you. You probably would want to incorporate some type of resistance training because it's going to serve you long term in regards to upkeeping your bone mineral density, muscle mass, all that kind of shit, right? But it all comes back to, are you enjoying that, right? Are you enjoying the pursuit of the goal? If you're not enjoying the pursuit of the goal, you know, it's inconsequential. So that's the reason why, you know, you'll see people able to sustain these habits, behaviors, and, you know, people you think are dedicated or committed, they just enjoy it. Like, they enjoy the way they live their life. I love how I live my life. Like, I wouldn't change it for anything else, realistically, you know. So if you're not a big fan of that process, you know, it's gonna be hard to stay. It's gonna be hard to stick to it. And you don't have to, if you don't want that life, you don't need to have the goal. You know, I think it's very much telling if somebody really wants to go by how they live their life, you know. So anyway, I started on this kind of segment here talking about saunas and me enjoying saunas, but I kind of went a little bit deeper, bit of a rant. Anyway, I'm here for the rants, you're here for the rants, hopefully. Swim acquired. Now we're just chilling. It's one thing that, like, if you work online and you live in Europe, I don't see why you wouldn't move abroad from Ireland. Ireland's nice and all, but this is much nicer. And it's really not that hard. Like, obviously, if you have a European passport, you have the free travel within Europe. And that just makes everything seamless. You don't need a visa. All you really need is a couple of months of rent, and you can just do your job in a different country in a sunnier climate. Cost of living here is much cheaper than Dublin. The rent we actually pay here is the cheapest it's been out of both Canada and Dublin. And, you know, for the quality of life, I mean, it's worth that little bit of hassle that you need to go through. It's worth that little bit of uncomfortableness. I think a lot of people just get too comfortable living at home. And, like, I don't know about anybody here who's watching this, but a lot of my friends don't even live in Ireland anymore. A lot of my friends live in the UK, got friends in Australia. I know my friends are kind of all over the place in Dublin. Now, we see each other at relatively the same frequency anyway that what we did when I was in Dublin. So, you know, again, if you work online, you live in Ireland, and you've been thinking about moving abroad, do it. It'll be the best thing you ever do. We moved to Canada, unreal experience. Weren't keen on staying there long term, but glad we did it anyway. It's much different experience to what it would have been if we just stayed in Dublin for another year. And now we're here, and we can't see ourselves really moving. Take the risk, they pay off. And just like that, we're off to dinner. Emma, say hello. Hello. Alright, so we're at La Sala. It is incredibly overstimulating. Most people are here to party because it's a beach club. We thought like it was a restaurant adjacent to the beach club, but obviously not. So our food has arrived. So yeah, a little bit of a strange environment to be in if you're not partying, but it is what it is. Anyway, our food has arrived. So we have the honey and chili chicken wings, and then we have satay skewers. 6 ounce, yeah. That's all the chips. I'd say it's been pretty generous, so let's give it that about 200 grams of potatoes or 200 grams of fries. That's probably about 100 grams at max. And we're back. Didn't stay long. We were literally, our reservation was at 5 and we were literally out of there by 6. Food was nice. Food was very, very nice. Portion sizes on the chips, as expected, were quite skimpy, but even skimpier than expected. Chicken wings, probably the standout. Honey chili. But yeah, very overwhelming. Probably like to go back there again for a kind of day drinking event. Probably wouldn't go back for just food only. I think we'll stick to just restaurants, won't we? So yeah, just out now, getting our evening steps in. Get Samson out and tire him out so he might actually relax when we are trying to relax, because when he has too much energy in the evening time, there is no relaxing being done. It's mostly the most stressful hours of the day before I go to bed. So hopefully he'll be tired after this, and we certainly will. I've got creamy now to finish off the day with, and that is a pretty relaxing and successful rest day, apart from the sauna. But look, can't always be winning. And there we have it, people. Final meal of the day, creamy. Cookie dough perform, as per usual. Biscoff biscuit, bit of dark chocolate. Absolutely banging. So yeah, I'm gonna get this down, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna check in the morning. We're gonna see how today's meal out did not even make a dent in my progress, and probably I can imagine that tomorrow my weight will actually drop, because it usually happens after a rest day, and it usually happens after a lower carb day, because today was definitely a low carb day. So yeah, we'll check back in then, and we'll see how the physique is looking now that we are 11 weeks into this bodybuilding process. And there we have it. That is the video wrapped up. So 90.7, that is a new low weigh in. And I haven't been the 9 zeros since 2023. And I look a hell of a lot better. I look a hell of a lot leaner, hell of a lot bigger. So the bodybuilding, it's working. And I guess it also kind of goes to show the benefit of just spending a lot of time at heavier body weights and chasing progression in the gym, because my body looks completely different to when it looks completely different to like 2022 when I started my prep, right? This period of time between 2023 to 2025, the longest time I've really spent keeping my body weight above that 90 kilo point, and it's definitely benefited me. Got stronger than ever, obviously more jacked than ever, and yeah, it's going to be an exciting look when I get on stage again in 2027. So I'm going to wrap up the video here. Hope you did enjoy it. If you did, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and we will catch you in the next one.